The Clinging Woman.
It's 5 to midnight. And tonight, we begin our new bedtime story. It's by that famous crime writer and author of many psychological thrillers, Ruth Rendell. One of her best-known short stories, The Clinging Woman.
The Clinging Woman, Part 1. The girl was hanging by her hands from the railings of a balcony. The balcony was on the 12th floor of the high-rise block next to his. His flat was on the 9th floor, and he had to look up to see her. It was 6:30 in the morning. He had been awakened by the sound of an aircraft flying dangerously low overhead, and had got out of bed to look. His sleepy gaze, descending from the blue sky, which was empty of clouds, empty of anything but the bright vanishing arrow of the aircraft, alighted, at first with disbelief, on the hanging figure. Part 2. He really thought he must be dreaming, for this sunrise time was the hour for dreams. Then, when he knew he wasn't, he decided it must be a stunt. This was to be a scene in a film. There were cameramen down there, a whole film unit, and all the correct safety precautions had been taken. Probably the girl wasn't even a real girl, but a dummy. He opened the window and looked down. The car park, paved courts, grass spaces between the blocks, all were deserted. On the balcony rail, one of the dummy's hands moved, clutching its anchorage more tightly, more desperately. He had to believe then what was obviously happening. Unbelievable only because melodrama, though a frequent constituent of real life, always is. The girl was trying to kill herself. She had lost her nerve and now was trying to stay alive. All these thoughts and conclusions of his occupied about 30 seconds. Then he acted. He picked up the phone and dialed the emergency number for the police. The arrival of the police cars and the ultimate rescue of the girl became the focus of gossip and speculation for the tenants of the 2 blocks. Someone found out that it was he who had alerted the police, and he became an unwilling hero. He was a modest, quiet young man and, disliking this limelight, was relieved when the talk began to die away, when the novelty of it wore off, and he was able to enter and leave his flat without being pointed at as a kind of St. George, and sometimes even congratulated. About a fortnight after that morning of melodrama, he was getting ready to go to the theatre, just putting on his overcoat, when the doorbell rang. He didn't recognize the girl who stood outside. He had never seen her face. She said,
"I'm Lydia Simpson. You saved my life. I've come to thank you."
Part 3. She said,
"I'm Lydia Simpson. You saved my life. I've come to thank you."
His embarrassment was acute.
You shouldn't have.
He said with a nervous smile.
You really shouldn't. That's not necessary. I only did what anyone would have done.
She was calm and tranquil. Not at all his idea of a failed suicide.
"But no one else did,"
she said.
Won't you come in? Have a drink or something?
"Oh no, I couldn't think of it. I can see you're just going out. I only wanted to say thank you very, very much."
It was nothing.
"Nothing to save someone's life? I'll always be grateful to you."
He wished she would either come in or go away. If this went on much longer, the people in the other 2 flats on his floor would hear, would come out, and another of those bravest deeds of the year committee meetings would be convened.
Nothing at all.
He said, desperately.
Really, I've almost forgotten it.
"I shall never forget. Never."
Her manner, calm yet intense, made him feel uncomfortable, and he watched her retreat into the lift, smiling pensively with profound relief. Luckily, they weren't likely to meet again. The curious thing was that they did, the next morning, at the bus stop.
And there we leave the story for today. Tune in tomorrow at the same time to find out what happens next. In the meantime, good night to you all.